Distinguished Public Policy Fellow at the American University of Beirut. He joins me live on the line from Boston, Massachusetts. Welcome to you, Rami. Appreciate your time. And I want to start on that question, because some of the let's put them as demands coming from Israel, but specifically coming from Benjamin Netanyahu, such as disarmament, complete disarmament of Hezbollah, and wanting control over Lebanon's sovereign airspace. Now, these are such extreme demands that surely they will never be agreed to by Hezbollah or the Lebanese government. So my question is, why make those demands? Is that specifically because Netanyahu doesn't want there to be a peace deal?
No, I think he really wants them, but he's not able to achieve them. He hasn't been able to achieve his main aims in Gaza after 13 months of fighting and massive amounts of destruction, with total joint venture in the genocide with the United States, and he hasn't been able to defeat even little old Hamas. So he needs to have a very decisive victory, in his view, to rehabilitate himself, because he's really in deep trouble in Israel. Hundreds of thousands of Israelis have left the country. The economy is not in good shape. There's still hundreds of thousands of displaced people from the north and the south. The hostages are still there. Hezbollah and Hamas and the Ansarullah in Yemen and others are still attacking, and the Israelis just don't know what to do. This is the first time they've been involved in a war that's gone on for over a year, that has been fought partly in their land, partly in other people's lands, which they have not won decisively. And they're unable to threaten and scare the opposition, in this case Hezbollah and Hamas. They can't scare them into surrendering as they thought they could in the past. And in fact, with Hezbollah, twice before they've had wars with Hezbollah that had to be resolved through a ceasefire that gave both sides much of what they wanted. And that's why he's being so insistent. He's trying to be the tough guy to show that their arms are going to prevail, which they haven't yet. He's aware that Trump is coming in, and Trump doesn't want any wars that he has to deal with. And Trump is willing to give Israel anything it wants, virtually, as far as we know. So that's why he's putting these outrageous demands. He knows they're not going to succeed, and therefore the fighting will continue. He just expects that the more that he destroys in Lebanon civilian infrastructure, as well as innocent lives, as well as some Hezbollah targets, the more destruction he carries out, the more he thinks that chances are that Hezbollah will surrender. But this is insane. It'll never happen. It never has in the last 30, 40 years. And it won't now. And this shows you the strategic weakness of Israel's planning. It's very strong in attacking and killing and destroying. It's very weak in understanding who it's fighting against. And it's also losing huge stature all over the world. So this is why he's trying to do this, salvage something.
Yeah, I mean, you've painted a really clear picture there, and a rather worrying one, that Israel continues with its offensives, and that the death toll is rising now. It's into multiple thousands of people killed in Lebanon. With Donald Trump coming into office and promising to resolve the situation quickly, how do you think he's going to do that? Because we know he's going to back Israel, but how's he going to back them in a way that's going to resolve the conflict shortly? I'm struggling to see a way out of this scenario, even with more US support.
Hey, if I knew the answer to that, I'd do what Tony Blinken and these characters in Washington do. I'd go set up a private consulting company and get paid millions of dollars to tell people the answers to what they want to know. The truth is, we don't know. Nobody knows. Netanyahu doesn't know. Nobody, and Trump doesn't know. Nobody knows what is going to happen. What we do know is that Trump is going to try to get Netanyahu to end both of the wars in Gaza and in Lebanon, as well as the smaller ones around the region. He will give Israel almost anything it wants to let's see that happen. So he might give Israel he say, look, we'll recognize, if you annex the West Bank, we'll recognize it like we recognize the annexation of the Golan Heights and East Jerusalem. That's what he'll probably do. But the problem is that the Americans understand the region even less than the Israelis do. The Americans have no idea what drives people in the region, either in Palestine or in the neighboring countries or further away in Iran. And they keep mistaking their military might for strategic sound planning. And they don't see that they're actually acting a little bit clownish, very amateurish. when it comes to anything beyond pulling a trigger and killing lots of people. And they've killed hundreds of thousands, and they'll kill more. So the Trump phenomenon is really a wild card right now. He definitely wants to go down as the man who brought peace to the Middle East, but it's not going to happen by allowing the colonial expansionism of racist Israel to be the vehicle by which he achieves that peace. He's going to have to get some better advisors, listen to more sound advice, and figure out, is there a way to achieve a genuine peace on all the fronts that Israel's fighting, and that allows Israel and the Arabs and the Iranians to feel that their basic rights have been met. I don't think he's approached it like that, and certainly the Abraham Accords that his son-in-law Jared Kushner created years ago haven't done that. They're very superficial, very for sort of drama, television drama. They think it's a TV show, and they do dramatic things, but that only bring much more fighting. Look at what's happened in the last 4 years. I mean, the Abraham Accords, in many ways, set the stage for the October 7 attack by marginalizing the Palestine issue, by pushing for a Saudi-Israeli normalization. The Palestinians and the Hamas and others felt that their future was completely gone, and desperately they made this attack on southern Israel on October 7. So there is a direct or indirect link between American policy, the Abraham Accords, and the other things that the Americans under Trump gave Israel, and the continuation of this Biden support for the Israeli genocide, and what they might do next. So you need a wake-up call in Washington. You need some adults who can understand what's going on in the Middle East, and also understand that there's a way to resolve these conflicts without warfare or permanent imperial apartheid, racist, genocidal actions, as Israel is doing now. There's a very little chance of that happening, but it's not zero. I think this is the real test that we all face. How can we work with the U.S. and Europeans and others and Chinese all over the world? How can we work with people to achieve what all of us want, the Israelis, the Palestinians, the Lebanese, which is a peaceful situation that also allows us all to enjoy our basic rights of sovereignty, security, and human dignity. That's a huge task. That's a huge ask. And we'll see if wiser people step forth in the next Trump administration. The signs of that now are almost zero, because most of the people he has in his foreign policy team in the Middle East are either clowns or total right-wing, racist, apartheid-loving militants who want to give Israel anything it wants. And this is a bad combination. But we've overcome this kind of stuff in the past, so let's hope for the best in the future.
Mm-hmm. Rami, it was fascinating to speak to you. Rami Khouri is my guest, Distinguished Public Policy Fellow at the American University of Beirut.